Welcome back to Nick in Detail. I'm Nick, and in today's video, we're going to be reviewing the Warriors-West Tigers game, which took place in Sydney last night. In this video, I'll give my thoughts on the game, who was my standout player, and look ahead to who's next for the Warriors. Without further ado, let's get into today's video. The first time in 4 games, the Warriors have won a game in the regular season. They've absolutely thrashed the West Tigers 32-6 to keep their spot in second place. And only a few points off the top of the table, Penrith Panthers. Let's get my thoughts on this game. This was a brilliant showing from the Warriors. Straight away from kickoff, you could just tell their intent was to be aggressive and attack and really put the pressure on the West Tigers. And I would say in that first half in particular, they did a pretty good job of doing that. Just allowed the West Tigers no time with the ball. They kept them in their own half, and overall I think in terms of the last few months, this has probably been the most polished Warriors performance I've seen in quite some time. Of course, as I said before in the intro, they've only won one of their last 4 games, which is not a fantastic record for the Warriors considering how they've been this season so far. But this win really just gives them that confidence that they can fight back at the top of the table, and of course a bit of revenge as well. Of course, the West Tigers beat the Warriors in Auckland a few months ago to hand them their first defeat in the competition. Yes, this is a great comeback from the Warriors and a great statement to show that they are still here on the table. And as I said before, second place as well, they're still in it. And of course, with so many games still left in the regular season to go. Obviously for the Warriors, we saw towards the end of the first half, maybe that fatigue kicked in. I think they allowed the West Tigers a bit too many opportunities in that last 10-15 minutes, but in the second half they came back refreshed. They got their subs on when they were a big margin up, and they just kept on piling on the pressure. And for me, a really well-deserving win for the Warriors, one that keeps them within that first place Penrith Panthers, but as well just a really great showing for the Warriors coming towards now the nitty-gritty end of the season, that they're able to put in these sorts of decent performances week in, week out. So a great showing for the Warriors, a big win as well last night against the Tigers. So who was my standout player? Well, my standout player is Olufiana Khan-Pereira. Back from injury after suffering a hamstring contusion, something that's really kept him out for the last few weeks. And safe to say, his presence on the wing has been deeply missed. And particularly now with Dunham Martinez-Lesniak out for a few weeks with a hamstring injury, him coming back into the team, Khan-Pereira really brings that boost for that Warriors wing going forward. He was brilliant last night on his return. A couple of tries for him, and once again just proving to be an absolute solid signing for the Warriors in 2026. Just the flair he has with his game, the speed, the confidence, his ability to finish in difficult situations just makes him a top winger. And as I said before, something the Warriors have really missed over the last couple of weeks because their finishing just has not been up to standard. But Khan-Pereira bringing back his brilliance he's brought all year for the Warriors, and a couple of tries for him to seal what was a great performance from the Warriors. So for me, Olufiana Khan-Pereira, my standout player, a great performance from the winger and his comeback from injury. So who's next for the Warriors? Well, they will return home back to Auckland next Saturday night. Well, they will take on the bottom of the table, St George Illawarra Dragons. The Dragons, 2 wins, 14 defeats this year, and a woeful showing from the the Illawarra-based side. And for the Warriors, based on their form and based on the Dragons' form, this should be a comfortable showing for the Warriors. But you never know. We do know the Warriors in the past have tended to slip up against lower-placed teams, particularly these lower-placed teams as well. They do tend to try kind of like to ruffle the feathers a little bit towards the top end teams. But for the Warriors, you've got to say, based on that performance last night, they're going to be very hard to beat, particularly against a Tigers team that have actually been not too bad under Benji Marshall this year as well. But for the Dragons as well, particularly this season at the moment, they're really going to want to get their game up to really take it to a very, very ferocious Warriors side. So that's all 6 for the Warriors. They're back at home in Auckland next Saturday night to take on the Dragons. So that'll be it for me. Yeah, a really great showing from the Warriors last night. I just felt like the last few weeks we've really just watched the Warriors just lack their performances. They've just not been the same as they were for those first 10 or 12 rounds this season. But really great to see the Warriors bring in that performance, the performances that we know Andrew Webster can get out of this team, and he very much showed it last night. Just even though those injuries have been kicking in, it's kind of been affecting the Warriors in terms of their performances over the last few weeks. But once they get together and play a solid game like they did last night, they are, in my view, one of the best teams in the competition, and that showed that great performance last night. But from me, that's going to be it, and until next time, I'll see you later.